Hi, and welcome to the FreeFormKnits YouTube channel. I'm Axew Pattern, a knit and crochet whose freeform ways of crafting led to the world of design. All the places you can find me will be listed down below this video. Thank you so much for stopping by and listening to me chat about all my crafts today. So the date is the 17th of June, I believe, and it's been a week since I last podcasted, and I've been doing good with getting back into this. So I have some finished objects to talk about, some whips, some design talk, and some projects that I really want to start making. So let's just jump right into it. So the first thing that I finished, and I'm actually wearing, is this top I made and was working on last week. So this is a pattern that I basically did myself. I did use Ann Bud's top-down sweater construction to cast on, but then I kind of just went with it. I really just figured out what she did for the neckline, and even then I always, when I do a circular yoke construction, circular yokes usually have 4 increase rounds. I always skip the first one because I don't like tight necklines. And if you watched last week's podcast, you'll know that this neckline was really big. And that's because I had skipped that and just gone to the second increase, but I did, when I finished the sweater, pick up for the neckline. I knit this on a US 9 needle, and I believe I used a 7 to pick up for the neckline. Just did these I think 3 rows of ribbing and then a bind off, and it's perfect. It's the perfect neckline for me. So I will stand up to show you. And it's got this almost bell shape just from the the increases. And I did do some ribbing on the bottom. I talked about last week, my plan was to do a white I-cord bind off for the hem and the neck and the sleeves, but as I was making it, I realized that sorry, can you hear the noise upstairs? I knew that I would have to do ribbing and then an I-cord bind off for the hem to keep it from rolling, but as I thought about the sleeves, I really didn't want the ribbing and the I-cord on the sleeves. I wanted just the I-cord, but that would cause it to roll, so I decided just to do one color and just ribbing, and I'm really happy with the decision. I love it so much. The sleeves are so small. Not small, they're very wide sleeves, but like I literally picked up and did, I think, 3 rows of stockinette and then 3 rows of ribbing and a bind off. So easy, and I love it so much. The yarn I used is Yarn Bee Sugar Wheel Cotton. It's just 100% cotton yarn, and like I said, I knit it on a size 9. I have plans for at least 2 more of these tees in different colors, and I'm thinking the next one will be, I will go down a needle size. I'll use an 8 and then a 6 for the neckline, just because while I love it, I do think it's a little bit big. Like, it's got a lot of positive ease, so I think going down 1 needle size will just make it just a little bit better. Though I really could take them all like this. I don't know, just play around with it. So that's all for this tee. I just love the neckline so much. I love having, I think everyone, like when we think knit sweaters or crochet sweaters, we immediately think heavy acrylic and wool. And this is just so light, and I can wear this all summer. And like I said, I have at least 2 more sweater quantities to make a tee like this, and this only took less than 200 grams for my size. And if you have that top-down sweater construction book by Ann Bud, I did the first size, which I think is a 36-inch bust, and yeah, and it already has all this positive ease, which could just be my gauge, but who knows. Oh well. And so that's the sweater, and I love it. And yeah, and that's finished object number 1. So finished object number 2 was also a whip last week, and it is no, it wasn't a whip last week. I had to cast it on, and I did cast it on, and I finished it. And it is this cowl, and it is unblocked, and it kind of needs to be blocked just because it's been shoved in a bag. It is the cowl that's going to go with the hat and gloves I've been sharing. And this will be part of a collection called the Essentials Collection that you will see later this year. I love it so much. And I will put it on. It's a cowl. It's 28 inches in circumference. And like the same with my necklines, I can't have a cowl that's like really tight around my neck. So something like this, where it's big enough that I can tuck it like this, is perfect. And I just thought having the ribbing throughout the patterning was a really nice detail. So this was knit out of I Love This yarn in their cream colorway on a US 8. And yeah, you'll see more of this later this year. It's really nice, and the collection's coming along very well, so it'll be like a fall release, so I won't say too much about it. You won't see it again for a while, but I love it. I do love this cowl. I need more cowls and like easy things to throw on my neck. So, well, not yet because it's summer. It's actually been cool the past few days. I live in Pennsylvania, and so we're entering summer. We had a heat wave last week, I think, but this week it's been surprisingly cool, so enough about weather. And then that's actually all for finished objects. These are the only two things that I finished, but I do have a half object that'll lead us into whips. So my half object, actually I have two half objects, but we'll start with the one you saw last week. So I was knitting a pair of socks, and I finished one sock, and I love it. So I'm designing a sock collection that is based around using garter stitch. It's like a basically just step up from vanilla, but with garter, because I love knitting garter in the round. I love having that row of pro bumps. I don't know, it's weird. But here's the sock. It looks so nice. It's got my shortcut garter stitch heel and my hat trick toe. So this sock is complete, and these sock blockers are knit picks in the medium size, if you are curious about that. And then I was trying really hard yesterday to get this second sock done. As you can see, I have less than half a foot and a toe to do, and then it's done. And the back is all stockinette, and you can really see the yarn colorway. It's just this beautiful blue. And the front. I like it when socks are at this point where it's like you can just stroke it and it's like it's a sock. These are my needles, my Charbu needles. I use a 2.75 millimeter US size 2.5, I believe, for knitting socks, which is, from what my understanding, quite a bigger needle than most people use for their socks. But anything smaller, and it's not a pleasurable knit for me. It's too tight. I don't like it. But my fabric for socks is still pretty good. I don't consider myself a tight knitter, but this is just what I use for socks. Makes my gauge happy, so who knows. And the yarn I'm using is Yarn Bee Color Ideal in the Frosty Mint. And it is a blend of merino wool, nylon, and acrylic. 50% merino wool, 30% nylon, 20% acrylic. And it feels nice and sturdy, so I'm happy about that. And those are these socks. So hopefully this week I can, well, this will be finished definitely this weekend. Probably, maybe today. I don't know, depends how much I work on it. And so then I can cast on the next pair for this collection. I'm actually torn. I'll actually torn about what sock I'm going to cast on next. I'll actually talk about more of that in plans for projects I have, because I got a lot of plans. And the next half finished object really technically shouldn't be counted as a half finished object, because once upon a time they were a full finished object. So I have this sock here, and this is a Patton's Croy sock with contrasting heels, toes, and cuffs in Knit Pick Stroll Tonal in the Seashell colorway. And this is using my shortcut heel sock recipe. And this is its mate. The story behind this sock is I ran out of yarn for the heels, toes, and cuffs. I only had a little bit left, so I ran out for the toe. And I did the toe in a blue. It matched this blue in a yarn, I believe it was Yarn Bee's Soft DK, which is actually more of a fingering yarn. I did a whole toe in it. I put this pair of socks in my sock drawer, wore them I think twice, and that toe, it had such a big hole in it. Such a big hole in it. It is, I believe that yarn is a 100% acrylic yarn, and so it is horrible for socks. It just is, at least for me. Maybe I'm hard on my socks. That's a possibility. So that toe needed to be ripped out and picked up, and like I said, these socks are old. They are sometime last year, maybe in the fall, probably in the summer, that I had made them, and they've been sitting until I could face them. But the other night I have a basket where I have all my craft stuff of things that need to be finished or need to be frogged or just stuff like that, and it was kind of getting to me how much was in there. There wasn't really a lot in there once I started the project. So I frogged a bunch of like swatches that I needed to take the yarn back. My sweater, my 4-space tee is in there for the time being because I've decided for that. I will be just doing a full sweater. It's a worsted weight. I used a acrylic worsted weight for it, so I think I'll get the most wear out of it if I make it a full sweater. So I need to get the yarn to make full-size sleeves. But that's the only reason why that's in there. And this pair of socks was in there, so I picked up the stitches, I cut off the toe, and I'm now using a Knit Picks Stroll Stellina base for the toe. And I just need to finish the toe, and then I will have another pair of socks to add to my sock drawer, or to re-add, because they were finished once upon a time. That was graceful. And that's the story behind that. Same needles. The urge to just not even fix the socks and like literally throw them away was really strong, other than just picking up a toe. It was so stupid. Like, why would I waste a whole pair of socks just because I didn't want to pick up a toe? Like, I would rather knit. I've knit more socks since that pair rather than just fix it. Do you ever get like that? You just like, I don't want to fix it. I'd rather make a whole new thing. It's so stupid. But I picked it up and that'll be finished. Maybe I'll finish that today and then work on my other socks. Alright, and the last whip I have to talk about, you haven't seen before, but I have talked about it. I cast on a sweater a while ago, and I put a decent amount of work into it, but I kind of kept not really working on it, and then I worked on this sweater, and now I'm back on the sweater train. So how I like to have my whips, I like to have my happy spot for whips is a sweater, a sock, a small project. And then if I want, I mean, I have blankets, like my Cozy Memory blanket and a striped blanket I have on the go, but I kind of consider those in leagues of their own. And then I also have, I make room for a crochet project. I usually only have one crochet project at a time. But those are that's my sweet spot. A sweater, sock, and a small project. I find if I just have those, I have all the bases covered, and it just helps me get things done rather than have a bunch of whips. So before I make another of this sweater, I have to finish this one, which is kind of sad. Though I do love this sweater. I love this sweater, and it's really, it wouldn't take me long. I'm working on US 9 needles, 5.5 millimeter, out of worsted weight yarn, and I have a sleeve done. And it's only going to come like to my hip, the sweater. It's a raglan style that I did the numbers all myself, because if I try to follow a pattern for raglan, I find I don't like the fit. I was going for a very specific fit here. And I'm in the middle of a row, so I can't even show you how the sleeve looks. But, so I am knitting it out of Yarn Bee ID in the Bluestone colorway. And it's just it's a 80% acrylic, 20% polyamide yarn. And I actually used one skein for the yoke. And then when that was finished, I did the sleeve with a new skein. And now I'm using the rest of that skein to knit the body. And then I'll go back and do the sleeve and then use the rest of that skein to knit the rest of the body. Because I'd rather have ends to even on the body than on the sleeves. Because I feel like with moving my arm, something would come undone. Even though I'm pretty good at weaving my ends. It's always my fear. I don't like changing yarns on the sleeve. So it's very simple, just vanilla raglan, and I actually did a little bit of shaping up here for the collar. So once I pick up the collar, it'll be like a V ribbing, and I do have plans for like buttons, like there'll be the neckline and then like buttons here. But we'll see. I always don't like doing buttonholes because I have to plan for them. Wow, plan to make something. Ooh, I just kicked the camera. Plan to space them correctly, and not only that, I have to probably find button sizes first. There's an idea. I have a bunch of buttons, but not like sets of buttons, so that's going to be interesting. I just thought of that. Great. Oh wow. We'll see how that goes. The button idea is getting further and further away from me now. But I do want to finish. I want to finish this sweater in theory before I cast on like another one of this. But whether or not I will actually, because my thing is, here's my thing. I can wear these now in summer. Not necessarily, I mean, sometimes it gets cold in the house with the air on, so I could technically wear an open front cardigan. But this won't take long to finish. I just really want to make another one of these. It's ridiculous. But I will put work on it. I will work on it. There you go. Before we get into project planning, I do have a few design things to talk about. So just really quick, these are my Garter Bliss socks that I've shown, and they are now in testing. So the pattern will be coming really soon. I think I have, I picked a release date and I'm forgetting it. It's like right before the end of the month. I think that Sunday before the next month. So they'll be coming super soon. And I do love these socks. I love having a simple texture for self-striping socks because, as I think I've talked about in my sock drawer, I've got a lot of self-striping vanilla socks, but not a lot of patterned socks. So I need to have more of those. And this is a great pattern for self-striping because it shows up, doesn't take away from the color, it's interesting. And I think I've talked about this pretty cuff detail that the camera doesn't want to show, but it's pretty. So those are in testing. And if you ever want to be a tester for my projects, there is a link down below, an email list you can sign up for that every time I have a need for testers, you will get notified. You don't have to agree to every test that comes that I have, but you will be notified of it. So if you want to be in, you can say. If you don't want to be in, you can just delete the email. I won't know. So yeah, that's it for that. And then the other bit of design news is something that I hope to be out next week. I think I'm planning Tuesday. It'll be out. So I have a pattern called the Delightful Knit Socks, and it is a DK weight sock pattern that uses my shortcut heel, and it's a great, if you haven't knit socks before, it's a great pattern to start. DK socks whip up so fast, it's great. So, and I'm going to be adding to the pattern, like I said, hopefully this Tuesday, I will be adding a complete video tutorial walking you through everything how to work these socks. So when you purchase the pattern, you will get a link to a video tutorial. So if you have anything you're uncertain about, you'll be able to see it in a video. And always you can reach out with questions. And yeah. And this is the sample pair that I work on in the tutorial. The tutorial's been done for a while. I just finally got around to editing it this week. And this sample is actually knit out of Knit Picks Swish DK in the Haze Heather and the Dove Heather. I believe those are correct. So in the DK, in the Delightful Knit sock pattern, I give you 3 texture options and 2 heel options, and then 2 cuff options and 2 heel options, and then the instructions for the standard toe. So these are just the vanilla option, but there's also a garter ridge option, a garter rib option, and you can do 1x1 ribbing, 2x2, and you can mix and match. It's so much fun. And there's also instructions for the garter heel rather than the stockinette heel. It's all in the pattern, and I will have that pattern listed below. I will be updating the pattern come Tuesday when the tutorial is out, but you can actually purchase the pattern now, and that way when I update it, you will get the update automatically. So that's that. And if you get on my newsletter list, you might just get a special promo when that comes out, so that'll all be listed below. And that's that for design talk. Let's talk project planning. I have so many projects that I want to do. So first up, I talked about how I like to have a sock, a sweater, a small project, and then a crochet project on the go. Now I technically do have a crochet project, but then let's break down crochet into 2 segments. So I actually have, I've talked about before on the podcast, I crochet a lot of toys for like gifts for certain family members. So there are actually 2 birthdays I have to make toys for in July, and they are going to be Pokemon toys. And one, I will put a picture here, will be this Charizard plush, and the other will be this Axew plush. I don't know actually if I can switch the sides the pictures on. Yes, I can. So Axew, Charizard. And I actually started the Charizard, I just haven't brought it because do I enjoy making crochet toys? I enjoy the finished object. I enjoy the look of, wow, it's detailed when I give it to the recipient. The problem with making crochet toys is that there are so many, you need a lot of different colors, but small quantities of, and yet you have the big skeins of it, especially since I love this yarn. It comes in like the big 200 gram skeins, and it's just hard to take all the colors with you around the house and crochet on it, even though the projects themselves are really quick. So that's my only dilemma when working on it, because it does take a little bit of thought. But I did start the Charizard. I did the whole body. I did, like, I say the whole body, the body part, and then you have to do all the little parts, the arms and the legs and everything. But that is my dilemma with breaking crochet down. Like, does a crochet toy count as a crochet thing? Technically yes, but I want to cast on other crochet things, so we're gonna say no. Because I have 2 crochet projects I desperately want to start. One is a Tunisian crochet project. So I talked about how my obsession with cross stitch in the last podcast. I haven't touched my cross stitch. I do want to work on it. I just haven't touched it because, like the crochet amigurumi, you need to have all your stuff out. You need to sit down and do it, and it's just hard to do that. But similarly to the cross stitch, I've been watching Amy Kate of the Graceful Tangle. She is doing this Tunisian crochet project, and I've wanted to do Tunisian crochet for so long. I've done a little bit of it. I have like 1 crochet Tunisian hook, but it's just like the straight hook. It's not like the flat one with the cord. See, there's only so much you can do with it, I find. Actually, don't even know where that is. It's missing. Yep. But seeing her do a Tunisian crochet project just reminded me how much I wanted to do it, and I actually found a really great pattern. It is called the Party Punch Shawl by TL Yarn Crafts, and it's a free, you can get a free version or you can pay for the PDF, and it's looks really good. It looks pretty simple. Like, she has a tutorial to go along with it and everything, just a basic shawl. So I really want to do that, and that's crochet project number 1 I want to do. And crochet project number 2 I want to do is not Tunisian crochet, but it is a crochet sweater, or I'm thinking of making it into a, no, it's a crochet cardigan. I'm thinking of making it into a sweater. It's a circular yoke, which drew my eye to it, so it'll basically be like this. Like, that's my thought process. But it'll be crochet, so it's different. It's by Tian, Connaughton, and I believe it was published for a magazine, but there's a free version of it on Ravelry. It takes you to the website where you can download the free pattern, and it's just basically just a circular yoke crochet cardigan. It's got the short sleeves, just like this one. I'm thinking of making it, just doing it a sweater, just not doing back and forth, just going in the round, because I'll probably get more wear out of that than a cardigan, like a open front. I just kicked it again, I'm so sorry. Than an open front sleeveless cardigan, if that makes sense. There'll be a picture here so you can see. I believe it's called the Cafè Sunshine. I want to say that's it. I checked it before sitting down to do this, but whether or not I was correct, I got no idea. But those 2 projects I desperately want to cast on. Is it called cast on for crochet? I think I've had this discussion with myself many times. I want to start it. And I have a yarn I can use for it. I could start that right now, and that's my dilemma with, actually I don't have a dilemma with that one. I was going to say, do I have a dilemma starting that or finishing that sweater? But that's a knit sweater. This is a crochet thing. They're totally different. Totally different. So I can start that. And then the other thing I want to cast on, I talked about, you know, finishing this sock and casting on the next sock for this collection. Or I could finally start the toe-up socks I've been wanting to do. There's a lot of options here. A lot of options. Things I have to figure out. These are important things. So yeah, that's all the crafty talk for this week. Yep. It's been a good week. Well, it's been a week. It's just weeks. It's just days. But there's been, as you can see, a fair amount of knitting and crochet. Well, no, not a lot of crocheting this week, but hopefully there'll be crochet stuff coming soon. More crochet stuff in addition to those projects I listed. But that's all for this time. Thank you so much for stopping by and chatting with me for a while. Hope maybe you were crafting while you were watching, so you could get some crafting in. But thank you so much for joining me. As I said, everything, all the relevant links about this episode will be listed down below. Be sure to sign up for my newsletter so you can get notified of, you know, any special sales and stuff going on, like those DK socks. You might get something special if you sign up. Thank you so much for watching. Happy crafting!